Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE SmackDown Live episode 1037 and 205 Live episode 136, both broadcast on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. I'm recording this on July 3rd, and I also wanted to talk very, very briefly. I'm not even going into depth about it, but I did see Spider-Man Far From Home last night, and it is awesome. I loved it. I'll go more in depth about it in its own episode probably later on. I was going to include it as part of this week's comic book episode, but I'm going to see the movie again on Friday. I don't want to wait till Friday to get to doing the comic book episode because I already picked up all my comic books today. So I could read a bunch of them and get that episode out there today talking about this week's comics. So I will do those as separate episodes. But Spider-Man Far From Home, it is awesome. Go see it. Go see it. If you liked Endgame, I think you will at the very least like Spider-Man Far From Home. I think I might like Far From Home more than I liked Endgame, but we'll see upon further viewings. And so that's all I'll say about it. I don't want try to avoid all spoilers. I think you'll enjoy it even more, not knowing knowing as little as possible. Like if you've seen the initial trailer, then you kind of know what's going on. And if you've seen Endgame, then you might have an idea of what's going on as well. But it's really good. Go see it. All right. So SmackDown episode 1037 opens up with the Kevin Owens show with the guests Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre. They talk about how they're not afraid of The Undertaker. And Kevin points out that from the footage from the previous night when The Undertaker showed up, that hey, it looks like you're afraid in that replay. But then he tries to explain for him is like it's just like a gut reaction because he like immediately go like I'm not gonna even try to recreate. The segment is really good. Kevin's awesome, but then he asks him. He's going off these cards so he can read exactly what Shane wants him to say. But he ends up asking him, what did it feel like to come back in 2016 and lose to The Undertaker? And that makes him kind of mad. Dolph comes out. Kevin blows up on Dolph, which is great. And they both think that they should get championship matches. And so Shane McMahon says, "All right, well, okay. Stupid. But it's going to be a tag team championship. You have a chance to go for the tag team championship at Extreme Rules. So you are going to fight Heavy Machinery tonight. And the winner of that match will be inserted, making the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match a triple threat. Because it's already the New Day, Xavier Woods, and Big E versus the champions Daniel Bryan and Rowan. So now it'll be a triple threat either between those. Well, it'll be those two, and the third team will either be Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, or their opponents in this main event matchup, Heavy Machinery. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Let's see. Daniel Bryan talking to Kayla backstage, and he's talking about how the odds are against them, and then he says, he asks if Kayla knows her math. He says, "Of course you don't know the math. You don't need to know the math because we're gonna win. We'll still be champions, so it doesn't even matter." Big E versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan won this match via knee strike. Then we had R-Truth talking about how he wants his baby back, and he had heard that Drake Maverick was there in San Antonio for some reason. There's another video of Drake and his wife Renee on their honeymoon. They're arriving at their honeymoon, and they're in Orlando, and she is really mad because they live in Orlando, and that's dumb. Go watch those videos; are so funny. I'm waiting. I'm hotly anticipating. I'm anticipating R-Truth getting that championship back, however he does. he seems so stressed out about being chased when he has it, but then he really wants to get it back when he doesn't have it. So that's the lure. It's like the One Ring in Lord of the Rings. Like once it like gets its claws into you, even though it's like this huge burden to have it. It's if you don't have it, you're like, I need it. Something is missing. My precious is missing. I need it back from that Frodo Baggins. Anyway, up next, let's see. Alexa asks Nikki to host a Moment of Bliss for her, and so Nikki does, and she has to guess. And I wonder if her asking that was actually filmed the night before, because Alexa doesn't appear in the rest of the episode, and then like the backstage stuff, like after everything happens, Nikki couldn't find her and stuff. So I wonder if that's why they did all that. But anyway, she hosts and has her guest Bailey on there, and she said, "I'm here to ask you the tough questions." That's a bad impression. All of these are bad impressions. And Bailey says, "Well, I have a question for you. Shouldn't it be you that has a championship match?" And Nikki says, "Well, shouldn't we be in the match, having a match right now?" And so they go and have a match. Bailey wins. And Nikki's feeling pretty down about that. And she's trying to go find Alexa. And she's like impressed with that Alexa's able to do all the things that she does, because it was, Nikki was found it very stressful, it seemed like. Because she's the hosting and then having to do a match and all that. Anyway, an awesome promo video from Ali talking about he's going to change one mind at a time. That was really cool. He wants that championship. He wants Kofi's championship. And that's going to be a hell of a match. Ali versus Kofi. If that's the SummerSlam match, that would be killer. But we'll see if Joe wins before that. Kofi and Joe face to face. Joe said something about how some people hustle with fear and some hustle with charisma. And he's saying that they're doing the same thing, just using different tools, and that they all are just using the WWE universe to get what they want and all that kind of stuff. Super awesome promo from both, and then Kofi ends up giving him the finger and kicking him right in the head. I think it was the Trouble in Paradise, and he stands tall. We still have one more episode before Extreme Rules, but we'll see what happens next week with them. That's not where the action ends with them, because we have the New Day out there ringside, and Dan Bryan and Rowan out at ringside. I don't think Kofi was out there though, but during the main event, since it affects what they're doing. Somebody made the joke. I had already thought of this joke, so I'm disappointed that I didn't really post it anywhere. That it's a different variation of the joke. My version of it is that if Kofi and Joe ended up being a tag team together, they ended up just getting along, they would be team. I would call them Team Java, because they're both because we have Kofi, and Joe. So I keep smacking the microphone stand with my hand gestures. But somebody on Reddit posted the headline was like, "This is a historic first time match at Extreme Rules." And it says it's first time a championship match is between two people who are named after, who are named coffee or something, types of coffee. So yeah, that I'm glad that I talked about that. We had a promo from Heavy Machinery, and all I wrote down about it was Corey Graves' line at the end of it. He says, "Is there a name for something that's..." Dang it, I messed it up. Do they have a name for what's wrong with Otis? So funny. Lashley, he posted on Twitter that he's, if he ever sees Braun again, that he's not going to send him to the hospital. He's going to send him to the morgue. So I think that's that might violate Twitter's terms of service there. Death threats and videos online Not cool. Not cool, Ashley. Oh, that just reminded me of another thing from Spider-Man. I have to do. I'm gonna do a episode just about Spider-Man, so I can talk about all the spoilers and everything. It's so good. Go watch. Go see it. Go see it. Right after this, I need to watch NXT and NXT UK from last week. Do that episode, and then watch this week's episodes, so I can just be caught up because I'm a week behind still. And if I don't watch last week's, then I'll be 2 weeks behind tonight. But anyway, up next we had Andrade versus Apollo. What is that I wrote? Oh, after a Zelina attack, I portmanteaued her name. Andrade won that match after Zelina hit. I think she hit him with a Hurricane Rana while the referee was looking the other way. Alistair, he's very excited. He appreciates the mind games from whoever knocked on his door last week, and he said, reveal yourself at Extreme Rules. That would be pretty great. That kind of whatever match he has, whoever he's fighting against, that's gonna be great. It could be Bray Wyatt. Is that how Bray Wyatt's return comes about? Maybe. Or could it be Randy Orton? Because he is saying online he might be interested. So either one of those, I think, will be a killer match. I'm excited for those both. Oh, that's for that microphone. Then we have Mandy Rose versus Ember Moon. Ember wins that match via an Eclipse. Then we had a real weird situation with a close-up on Shelton Benjamin being asked by an off-screen interviewer, who do you think is going to win the WWE Championship match? And he just smiles and looks around for a while. So I'm waiting until people start posting like completely different questions being asked before him just looking around. But I haven't checked to see if anybody started doing that. I didn't do a video of that, but I did do a just a retweet quote thing. And that brings us to the main event. Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler versus Heavy Machinery. Before the first commercial break, they end up New Day and the Planet's champions are there at commentary to watch and to contribute some commentary as well. But they all end up attacking each other outside the ring, which doesn't affect the match itself, but it sends pancakes everywhere, and it's enough of a reason for them to stop the match during the commercial break. Just, okay. This not having the wrestling happen during commercials. I talked about this in the last episode already. Okay, they didn't do any 2 out of 3 falls in this episode, but they did do this for the main event. If they really don't want to have wrestling during the commercials, just have 5-minute rounds. Have that structure. Call it a TV match. They have a TV match. It's in 5-minute rounds, so they have commercial. They can have breaks during commercials. Like, just say like that. Then it's like, okay, that is why there's a break here. It's not just, we're not just going to come in. It's part of the timed structure of the match that there's a 10-minute time limit of 2 rounds. After 5 minutes, take a break, go to your corners, and then restart second 5 minutes. And then if it times out, then we have it comes to a time limit draw. And if not, like, then you have more options, I believe, instead of just all kinds of weird fluke things. More and more fluke things happen every week. Just make it the TV match format. And then you have the pay-per-view match formats that there are no rounds. That's all just continue. I don't know. That's one solution to it. But there was nothing wrong with how they were doing it before. Come on. Except for everybody's going to be snarky about it no matter what way it is. Because then they're like, oh, commercials are just going to be in rest holds now. But now when they're not wrestling during the commercials, they're like, oh, what? They're not wrestling in commercials? I know it's not the same people probably, but maybe there's a couple of the same people that are complaining both ways. And then there's me. I'm also complaining both ways. Complaining about the complaining. So it's never ending complaints. But anyway, they restart after commercial. Dolph Ziggler accidentally super kicks Owens in the face, which leads to Heavy Machinery being able to hit him with a compactor and get the win. But after that, Kevin Owens hits Dolph Ziggler with a stunner. So he stands tall at the end of the episode, even though he's the one who lost, but he's lost because of Dolph Ziggler's dumbness. His super feat. So yeah, this episode wasn't as exciting as Raw, but I still enjoyed it, and it's interesting. The one disappointment really is that we didn't get any updates on television about the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi, because they did win in Tokyo. They did earn a championship match against the Iconics, but we have no updates on that. And I imagine it might be because they are still in Japan for a little bit, because it seems like whenever they go to Japan, before that Asuka would stick around there and hang out and get to spend time back at home for a little bit before coming back to the tour. So I imagine that's probably the case, but I don't see why that they couldn't have that. They could have filmed just a short promo while they were in Japan and aired that. I'm sure that they did film some promos in Japan, like in Japanese even. But yeah, just having no mention of them on screen this week, I thought that was a bit of a bummer. But hopefully we'll get the updates on it on screen next week. And I really hope that match happens at Extreme Rules, because we haven't had a women's tag team championship match on a pay-per-view since WrestleMania. It's got to happen, please. So that brings us to 205 Live. We had two matches on 205 Live, and it was kind of just utter chaos this whole episode, because Drake Maverick is gone on his honeymoon, or what he is calling his honeymoon, and doing it 24/7, 42/7. But we had Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik versus the Singh brothers. Is a tornado tag team match, so a bunch of stuff going on here. We have all the props going on with the pinatas, Penelope Pinata, and that Bollywood statue causing some distractions. So Lince and Metalik get the win there. Aiden, for some reason, was talking about how his grandfather is a great dancer. I wrote that down because it made me chuckle a little bit when he was talking about that just out of nowhere. It had context. They were talking about dancing because the Bollywood boys were the Singh brothers. Maybe just because I kept calling them that in my head, I thought that I heard Vic Joseph accidentally call them that, but maybe I was just imagining it because they were saying Bollywood a lot. I might have just imagined him saying Bollywood boys, but anyway, Mike and Maria, it's continuing from their story on Raw. Mike's talking about how they're not exactly talking, and that he blames Drake Maverick for all this, because if he gave him the opportunities and all of that they had asked for, then Maria wouldn't be so upset with Mike's lack of accomplishments or manliness or whatever. But we do see that Maria is watching their match from backstage, which is probably didn't do Mike much good, because his team lost. It was a 6-man tag team match. The team of Jack Gallagher, Oney Lorcan, and Tony Nese versus Mike Kanellis, Arya Daivari, and Drew Gulak. I had to think for a second. I was like, Drew Mac? What? No, Gulak. I only wrote down their first names. So Tony won the match by pinning Kanellis, and at one point, Oni and Arya ended up like fighting into the back, and so it became just a regular tag team match at that point. But my favorite moment of this match was Tony Nese was going for like a springboard sort of thing, like hopping over the top rope to do like a springboard crossbody or something to Drew Gulak. But Drew just, like, as he is coming up off of the ropes, Drew just pushes him over the ropes out to the outside. It was so good. Like, that was one of the best spots like that I've seen, that you weren't seeing the guys just gathering around waiting for it to happen, even though they were there to catch him. You didn't see that forming up, and then so it was like totally unexpected and worked so well and was so awesome. And it was like a great character moment for both of them. It all made sense, and like that moment like just sums up like how awesome 205 Live is, in my opinion. But yeah, there's all kinds of other great stuff in this match, but that's the one thing from like this entire week so far that really stood out to me, was just Drew pushing him out of the air to the outside. So good. But after the end of the match, Tony gets the win. But Oni and Daivari, they come back out, and they're beating the crap out of each other. Tony and Drew Gulak are beating the crap out of each other, and then Jack and Mike are beating the crap out of each other. And the episode ends while they're still just brawling and beating the pants off each. Ew, that sounds bad. Beat it. I was trying to think of something that sounds like they're beating the crap out of each other. I already said that, I think, but I was trying to think of a better way to say that, and I did not think of a better way to say that. But yeah, that's just how the episode ends. And Drake doesn't seem concerned about that at all, because he's just posting about his honeymoon. And maybe Drake Maverick will end up getting fired as the general manager of 205 Live. Who should replace Drake Maverick? Should it be big money Matt Hardy? He could be a very interesting general manager for 205 Live. That's just the first name that popped into my head. I have no reason to think that, other than he hasn't been used for anything recently, but he's been pretty active on Twitter and such, posting videos about all the accommodations. He's being a little bit of a diva, talking about how hard it is to be Matt Hardy, even though he has all these very nice things. But that could be an interesting replacement. Or it could be something completely different. It could be a female superstar. Who's somebody that's out of action right now but could be used in there. Like Mickie James, I think that would be interesting. I don't even know how that would work really, but that could be pretty cool, because I know she's injured right now, but might be okay to just be on screen as the authority figure. She wouldn't be involved in any matches, because there aren't. Well, she's not going to be in any altercations with the only woman that's on there regularly right now, Maria, because she is pregnant, so she's not going to be fighting or anything anytime soon. But yeah, if I mainly just miss Mickie James. I was thinking about that this last week, because of all the Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss stuff that her name has been brought up. It's like, oh yeah, she's out of action right now. That's a bummer. Nia Jax as the 205 Live general manager, that would be even more interesting. But we'll see what happens. We have one more week of regular episodes until Extreme Rules. I'm super excited to be going to Extreme Rules. That's going to be so much fun. I might bail on. I'm going to go. I was planning on doing a road trip and then flying from my road trip out to Extreme Rules. but maybe it's too late. Maybe the flights are too expensive now to just fly from Denver instead. To road trip, and then that way I could go and like hang out with Blue Devils a little bit more than I was going to. I think I'd probably, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It is a lot. It's mostly that it's a lot of driving, and it's just to see a couple of concerts. But they're like really cool concerts. It's Real Big Fish and Aquabats. They're touring together, and they're not coming to Denver. The closest they are to Denver is St. Louis and Kansas City. So, but maybe I'll sell the St. Louis tickets and just drive out to Kansas City. I'll come back, hang out with Blue Devils, and then fly out on Sunday. Instead of it, I was going to drive up to Wyoming to see them rehearse up there. But that's also a lot of stuff to do. But anyway, I'll talk about all that after. I'm really excited for Extreme Rules, and I'm excited to see what happens next week. So let me know what you thought about this episode of SmackDown and 205 Live. This 205 Live was episode 136, by the way. By tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. And stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses. I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.